The Pre-Columbian Era refers to the period in the history of the Americas before the arrival of Christopher Columbus and other European explorers in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. The United States, as we know it today, was home to a rich diversity of indigenous cultures long before the first Europeans set foot on its shores. These cultures spanned thousands of years, with complex societies that developed advanced technologies, trade networks, and distinct languages and traditions. Early human migration to the Americas. The first humans are believed to have arrived in the Americas between 15,000 and 20,000 years ago, likely crossing a land bridge called Beringia that connected modern-day Siberia and Alaska during the last ice age. These early settlers, known as Paleo-Indians, gradually spread across the continent, adapting to a variety of environments and developing unique cultures. Evidence suggests that these early people were primarily hunter-gatherers, relying on large game such as mammoths and mastodons, as well as smaller animals and plants. As the climate warmed and large animals went extinct, these societies transitioned into more sedentary lifestyles, developing agriculture and creating permanent settlements. Major pre-Columbian cultures in the United States. Over the course of thousands of years, a variety of distinct indigenous cultures and civilizations flourished across what is now the United States. Some of the most notable pre-Columbian cultures include the Ancestral Puebloans. Anasazi. The Ancestral Puebloans lived in the Southwest, particularly in present-day New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. Known for their cliff dwellings and sophisticated agriculture, the Ancestral Puebloans were skilled at building multi-story homes out of adobe and stone. They constructed elaborate towns, the most famous of which is Chaco Canyon. Their culture thrived for centuries before declining around the 12th century, possibly due to climate change, resource depletion, and migration. The Mississippian culture. The Mississippian culture flourished in the southeast and Midwest regions, particularly around the Mississippi River Valley, from about 800 CE to 1600 CE. The Mississippians were known for their large, complex earthen mound-building culture. Cahokia, located near present-day St. Louis, was one of the largest and most influential Mississippian cities, with a population of up to 20,000 people at its peak. The Mississippians engaged in intensive agriculture, particularly maize, corn, and developed extensive trade networks. The Iroquois Confederacy. In the Northeast, the Iroquois Confederacy, or Haudenosaunee, was a powerful alliance of 5 and later 6 indigenous nations: the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and eventually the Tuscarora. Known for their sophisticated political systems, the Iroquois Confederacy governed through a council of leaders, and their democratic decision-making process inspired some of the principles of the U.S. Constitution. They were skilled farmers and hunters, and their society was matrilineal, meaning lineage was traced through the mother's side. The Hopewell culture. The Hopewell culture was another mound-building society that thrived in the Midwest and Northeast from about 200 BCE to 500 CE. The Hopewell were not as large or as politically organized as the Mississippians but were known for their elaborate burial mounds and complex trade networks that stretched across much of North America. They created highly detailed artifacts made of copper, shell, and stone, which are often found in burial sites. The Native American tribes of the Great Plains. The Great Plains region, which stretches from the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi River, was home to a wide variety of cultures. Prior to the introduction of the horse by Europeans, many Plains tribes such as the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Comanche relied on hunting bison and living in temporary dwellings such as teepees. With the arrival of horses in the 17th century, these tribes became highly mobile and developed advanced hunting strategies. They are often celebrated for their warrior cultures and deep spiritual connections to the land. The native tribes of the Pacific Northwest. In the Pacific Northwest, including present-day Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia, indigenous peoples such as the Haida, Tlingit, and Nuu-chah-nulth developed complex cultures based on fishing, particularly salmon, and the abundant natural resources of the coastal environment. They built impressive longhouses, crafted intricately carved totem poles, and developed rich oral traditions and art. Their societies were often organized in clans and had a strong emphasis on social hierarchy and ritual. Agriculture and technological innovations. One of the most significant contributions of pre-Columbian cultures to the development of the United States was their introduction of agricultural practices. Native peoples domesticated a wide variety of plants, including maize, corn, beans, squash, and sunflower. The three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, formed the backbone of many indigenous diets and agricultural systems. In addition to agriculture, indigenous cultures developed advanced technologies and knowledge systems. For instance, the Puebloans created intricate irrigation systems to water their crops in the arid Southwest, while the Mississippians developed sophisticated methods of construction and engineering to build their large mounds and cities. The Iroquois are credited with developing the longhouse, which provided a central living space for multiple families, and their wampum belts served as a form of record-keeping and communication. Decline of pre-Columbian civilizations. The arrival of Europeans in the late 15th century marked the beginning of significant upheaval for indigenous peoples. Diseases brought by Europeans such as smallpox decimated native populations who had no immunity to these foreign illnesses. Additionally, European colonization brought warfare, displacement, and the loss of traditional lands. As a result, many pre-Columbian cultures experienced dramatic declines, and their once thriving civilizations were severely impacted or destroyed. However, many indigenous cultures persisted through these difficult times and continue to thrive today, with modern Native American communities drawing on their rich cultural heritage while adapting to the contemporary world. Conclusion. The pre-Columbian era in the United States was marked by a rich diversity of indigenous cultures, each with its unique traditions, social structures, and innovations. From the mound-building Mississippians to the nomadic Plains tribes, Native American societies laid the foundation for the history of the continent. Though European colonization brought dramatic changes, the legacy of these ancient cultures remains deeply woven into the fabric of American society today. Understanding the pre-Columbian era provides essential insights into the rich history and contributions of native peoples that continue to shape the United States.